Hello, and welcome to Founder Freedom, from hustler to CEO, the podcast built for e-commerce entrepreneurs and small business owners who are ready to work less, earn more, and scale smarter. I'm your host, Stephen Palmer, and today we're talking with a parent-powered product that went from a dining table idea to the Amazon rocket ship. Meet Berlyn Haughton, founder of the Table Tyke, a smart silicone placemat with a built-in bumper to protect little mouse and big mealtime sanity. Let's jump in with Berlyn. Welcome, Berlyn. How are you doing this morning?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
You're very welcome. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about the Table Tyke's value proposition?
Sure. So the Table Tyke is unique because it's the only silicone placemat on the market that has a table edge bumper. So why is that important? When kids are little and they're just learning to sit up, you take them out of their high chair and to a restaurant, you pull them up to the table edge and they hit their mouth or they're teething and that table edge is right at their mouth level. So if I'm being honest, I just wanted to be able to enjoy my dinner without having to put my arm across the table as a barrier. And I thought to myself, why has nobody created a product that has a bumper for the kids? And that's truly where the idea started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to chase the brand?
I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit about me. All through high school and college, I taught swim lessons. I had a beach camp in college, so I've always sort of had something. Very early on, I was in the corporate world, but I always had something on the side, and
Mm-hmm.
I never had my idea. And when I mentioned the table type with a placemat, my husband immediately said, there it is. That's your idea. And he was really like the one cheering me on and, kept saying, just keep going, figure it out, keep asking questions. So he was a huge part of it. But I've always sort of had that little something that wanted something of my own.
Nice. That's great that you have support too. It's super
Yes.
helpful.
Yeah, he also came up with the name, the table tyke. So it's definitely a family thing. The kids are involved. I mean, going and dropping off orders is truly like it's like part of our daily routine. So,
Nice.
we're going to the post office before we do anything else, or UPS, or, mom's got to pack orders, whatever it might be. I mean, it's truly part of like our life at this point. The kids will tell people, oh, my mom has the table tyke. And they're kind of like my little like sellers on the street. So
Yeah.
they're all, my father-in-law, everybody's like a huge support. So I'm really thankful for that too.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So when you were doing your research, like what kind of gap did you see in the market that kind of led you to pursue this?
Well, when I first started looking at it, I was just sort of Googling and looking on Amazon and Walmart to see if anything existed that was similar to it. There are a lot of silicone placemats on the market. That is not a new concept. So I was
Right.
very aware of that. There are products that have not strings, but like you can tie toys to them so the toys don't fall on the ground.
Mm.
There are ones that have like sort of a lip so that if the kids drop food, it doesn't go in their lap. So there are a lot of great ideas, but the idea of the bumper truly was new. That was not on the market. And then the product also has loops on the end of it. So you can roll it up and pull the loops over each end. So it's almost like a burrito. You can
Yeah.
throw it in the bag. So it's designed for traveling. And that didn't exist. I mean, those two features. So that's kind of what I thought to myself, okay, I think I'm onto something. But I wanted social proof. So I did host quite a few focus groups with some of my mom friends, and I asked them to
Mm-hmm.
invite their friends too. I think there were probably 3 or 4 focus groups. And it was unanimous. Moms did have this problem when they were eating out. Their kids did hit their mouth or suck on it or spill. The bumper will catch spills. Then I wanted to know, well, what would you spend on this product? I'm thinking like $20, maybe $25. What's realistic? And by and far, people were like, yes, this makes sense. This is something I would totally buy. And then from there, I just started asking for help. I'm like, I have this idea. Who do you know that could help me? Who do you know that like has a silicone product that I can pick their brain? People tend to want to help one another. And so I found
Mm-hmm.
that people were really willing to just help. And that really sort of propelled it forward to the next step, to the next step. And then finally we had a prototype and had to find a manufacturer and all the things. So
Nice. That's awesome. So you did your
yeah,
due diligence on the research side.
yeah, I think so.
You got your wheels going there.
Right.
It's not the easiest thing to do.
It's not, and I think one of the hardest things too that it's scary navigating the legality of it all, right? Like the trademark and the patent, and these are things that, um, you, in my opinion, when you're in this new territory, you have to be okay not knowing things and knowing what your skill set is. So for me, I'm not someone that's great with like the legal side of things, the accounting side of things. So I knew I needed a consultant to help me. And so I
Yeah.
was willing to pay someone to help me with that, to get the patent, to file the trademark. I didn't, there's so many things that I still don't know, but it's making sure that whatever your skill set is, that's what you focus on. And what your skill set isn't, you find someone that can help you or hire a consultant as well.
Yeah.
And so from day one, I was like, a lot of this is not in my wheelhouse. I got to find people that can help me. So
Well said. And it's good that you could realize that and take that path too, because I think a lot of solopreneurs struggle with that type of spend. Like they can't reason through it, like how you just
yes.
did.
Yes. One of the things though is, when you're starting your business, we didn't have, and we still don't have investors. So this is 100% something that we funded. We were, I mean, pinching pennies. I'm proud to say we didn't like use our life savings, although anyone that's willing to take that risk, like, I mean, kudos to you. I just was
Yep.
too scared to do that. So I will say, and what was helpful was my corporate experience. I knew to always get, 3 quotes, interview 3 different companies. A lot of this was stuff that I was learning. So as you're interviewing companies, you're also learning about sort of that space and what they do. So then when you have
Mm-hmm.
your next interview, you can ask more questions and get more detail. So I always would meet with multiple companies, get multiple quotes, see what was out there. You don't always want to go the cheapest route, but when you are pinching pennies, you have to be reasonable too. So I always made sure to do my due diligence in that sense too.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So in thinking about the gap that you discovered,
Mhm.
so in that gap analysis, what did you find the existing way that was kind of broken? I think you already said it, but I'm just gonna make you say it again.
Yeah, I didn't think there was anything broken with what existed on the market. There were great products on the market, but there wasn't anything on the market that filled the gap for the table edge. And it truly is a concern for parents when their babies are little to go to a restaurant, you pull the high chair up, and the kids are mouth level with it. And so, they hit their mouth or they suck on it. The gap was that there was nothing to protect them from that table edge.
Yeah,
And so that was my path forward was, all right, this bumper, I'm onto something. I'm gonna figure this out.
yeah, that's awesome. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just that one thing sometimes that makes or breaks a product launch, right?
absolutely.
The
Yeah, absolutely.
uniqueness, the
Hmm.
uniqueness. And I could totally see that. I could even add in, which I'm sure you've already heard, it's not only, my child's teeth, but, he's licking the table. Ill.
I know. Well, and what's interesting is I'm not a germaphobe, so that wasn't something that grossed me out. I mean, the table edge is pretty gross, but again, I'm not a huge germaphobe. But as I was launching the product, it was October 2020. So germs are top of mind.
Oh, yeah.
COVID's raging. So there was a lot of sort of that mentality out
Mm-hmm.
there, the germs. And then I did get lucky in the social media within the social media space because of COVID. Everybody's on TikTok now.
Right.
And so I started doing TikToks, having no idea what the heck I was doing. But we were going viral like every month. So we started to gain traction that way too. So COVID, as challenging of a time as that was for everybody, it was helpful for my business.
Yeah. And that's a great, lucky strike, so to say.
Yes. No kidding.
So many stories
Yes.
of company launches during that time that were just
Yeah.
like, because people were just bored out of their mind sitting at
Exactly.
home.
I was bored out of my mind. I'm like, what am I going to do all day?
Right.
Like, I'll make a TikTok.
So how do you feel that your company solves all the problems that it does better than existing alternatives?
There isn't a product out there that has the bumper. And
Right.
so, I do have moms that will tag me in posts. I had one video go viral of this baby who just, boom. I mean, she hit her head so hard on the table just because they're little, right? They're learning to hold their head up. Their
Yeah.
neck muscles aren't great. And I mean, that's it, like right there. Like that is part of why, we launched the Table Tyke, and the other products out there don't cover that space, the kids whacking their head. So, we definitely, I've sort of capitalized on that unique space.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also just the bumper plus the edges of the mat are slightly raised. So it sort of creates this like mess barrier too.
Yeah.
So that's unique in and of itself. Whether you're, the kids are crafting, you've got sort of this unique messy space for Play-Doh and slime and painting, but also for food to keep the messes contained. So it sort of grows with the child, which in all honesty wasn't something that I had thought about when I launched the product, because
Yeah.
I was thinking of that 6 or 7 month old baby, which was the use that I had. And then as it's in the market and people are using it, they're like, hey, it's also really great for this. After Shark Tank, so we have an XL as well, same product design, but it's
Mm-hmm.
huge. And I had so many people reach out to me and they said, your XL is fantastic for the special needs space for
Mm.
individuals with disabilities, something I had never thought of before. So now we've got this new market that, we can help as well. So customers come to you with great ideas too. I've had ideas on, you should try this color, and I think this color would do well. I'm like, all right, sure, let's try it. So you got to kind of listen to your people out
Yeah.
there too and try some of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A very common theme here in this podcast
Yeah,
questionnaire.
definitely. Yeah.
Listen to your customers.
Yes, no kidding.
So let's say I'm a new shopper, never saw your brand, didn't get a referral. I land on your website or your Amazon page. What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about what your product does?
Um, well, we have a very low return rate, luckily, but one of the biggest misconceptions is that our product sticks to the table
Okay.
and it has a non-slip back. But if there's a material like wood is porous, doesn't matter what the heck you have on a wood surface, nothing is sticking to it. And so I try to be really clear that our mat does not stick. It's not a sticky mat. It's just non-slip. So it's kind of got this mirrored back, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to slide around.
Right.
But again, it depends on the surface. So that's probably the most feedback that I get that people are unhappy about. But again, I'm really doing my best to not give false advertising. I did launch, because of that, I did launch a product with suctions, because that is sort of the consumer expectation nowadays. Not a lot, but several of the silicone placemats on the market have suction cups. So we do have an
Mm.
option for suction cups. But again, the challenge with suction cups, which is almost, why I really debated for like over a year, am I going to launch this or not? Because it depends on the surface. You can have like the greatest suction cups of all time. And
Yeah.
if the surface is not clean, or the suction cups aren't clean, or it's a porous material, it's just not going to stick to it. There's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
So I did launch it. So we have that option. It's not always going to make everybody happy. So you kind of just got to take it with a grain of
Yeah.
salt. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It'll work like on the stone countertops and stuff, but
yes, it'll work
pretty
on
much
stone or
not much
quartzite, but
else. Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool. So that's pretty interesting description of a misconception and I'm just mentioning it because I was looking at your website this morning and I was like, wow, I'm like, this is really well put together. The homepage on your Shopify site like really does explain a lot about it. And I really don't know a thing about your niche because I don't
Yeah.
even have children, but
Yeah.
I can, tell myself that I can imagine it. But until you actually look at your website page, it's like, wow, that's pretty useful.
Yes. I mean, well, thank you. We did a full website revamp about a year and a half ago, right before Shark
Mm-hmm.
Tank, because again, that was not an expense that I wanted to incur. We had a decent website, but you know, was trying. I've always been very budget conscious in the
Yeah.
business, and so we did a full website revamp right before Shark Tank. And yes, to your point, I think it looks great. It shows the value add much better
Yeah.
than our previous website. So
Oh yeah. It's an evolution, right? A website is
yeah,
like a a live document. It just needs to be
Yes.
updated every now and again. And, a lot of creators can do different things that you might have never thought of,
Yeah.
right? That's why it's good to get more people involved, right?
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're so right. Everything is an evolution. I mean, marketing campaigns, email flows that we send. I mean, there's constantly even just trying to stay on top of the algorithms on social media. I mean, everything is an
Yeah.
evolution. You just got to be like super flexible. You're like, that didn't work. All
Yeah.
right, let's try this. I mean, it's
I
a lot of
know.
it is like spaghetti on a wall. So
Oh yeah, I mean, social media is it's like the DIY fugazi for
yeah,
marketers
I
because
know.
they do change it all the time.
All the time.
You can't.
Just when you think you got it, they're like, oh, we're gonna change it again. So
Yep.
yeah.
So, do you have a success story? It could just be, I mean, it doesn't have to be of a customer, but it could be,
Yeah. hmm
or a big win that for your brand's mission or something like that you like to talk about.
y- sure. Yeah. I mean, a couple come to mind. But I think in my world, the dream is really to be on Shark Tank. I mean, it truly is. And I've had so many, people come to me since being on Shark Tank. They're like, "How did you get on there? And what was it like?" And one of my friends who I met through the industry, who was also on Shark Tank, she's like, "The thing about Shark Tank is it just instantly makes you more interesting to people."
Right.
Which is so true. You tell people you're on Shark Tank or they hear it, they're like, they perk, what? Tell me all about it. So that was
Right.
a huge win for my business. It's one of those things where I've always been passionate about the table tyke. I've always worked on the table tyke. But I mean, Shark Tank really catapulted my business, and I'm forever thankful. I mean, it's the most stressful experience in the entire world. Now, the sharks were
Mm-hmm.
nice to me, so I will not say one negative thing. The producers, like everybody on that team, is truly phenomenal. But
Mm-hmm.
the process in and of itself, I mean, I really can't even watch the show anymore. It's like PTSD. And again, like I had a great experience. My episode is great. They love the product. I had like in my opinion, it couldn't have gone better being in the Shark Tank with them. But to prepare for that I've never studied so hard in my life. I mean, college was a doozy compared to that.
Yeah.
So a success story for me, like above and beyond anything. I mean, well, one, it's just launching a business, right? Because I think so many people have amazing ideas, but actually carrying it through doesn't happen because life is busy or it's expensive or it's
Right.
scary or whatever it might be. So I think, one is just going through and carrying it out. But then two, a pivotal moment in my brand was being on Shark Tank. And the fact that I was likable to the sharks, like they liked the product and they liked me. And that was my goal. I knew it was a long shot that I would get a deal. I knew it was a long shot because it's a baby product. They don't
Yep.
do a ton of baby products anymore in terms of what they invest in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no technology associated with it. So I knew
Yeah.
it was a long shot. So I wasn't going in there expecting to get like deals from everybody. But my goal was, and this was the advice of a friend that had gone on the show. She
Okay.
said, just be likable. She said, if they like you and they like your product, then you've won. The audience will resonate and you'll be fine. And that's what I tried to do. I just tried to be my authentic self and be thankful and lean into their advice. And, it worked out as best as it could have. And I mean, last year was insane for my business and truly started when we aired on Shark Tank. So I'm forever thankful for that.
That's awesome. That's a great story. I have talked to quite a few people that have been into the Shark Tank funnel, and most of them got chewed up.
Yeah, I mean, that's typically the experience. So now listen, I was the last one that they taped with. Maybe they were just like, let's just get her out of here. I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we had such fantastic banter and you film for 30 to 40 minutes back there at a minimum with the sharks and
Sure.
the audience sees 7 minutes of it. So you're back there for a while with them. And, at one point, Mr. Wonderful was like, you've got this figured out. You don't need our help. You're an
Mm-hmm.
8.5 in terms of entrepreneur. And Lori's like, she's a 10 on an entrepreneur scale. So, I mean, I was like, tell me more. Tell me
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Bring it. Bring it.
Yeah. So it was a great experience. And you're right. I just didn't want to get chewed out. I kept waiting for it. I was like,
Yeah.
waiting for it. And it never came. Thank God. So.
Yeah. I love that show. I feel like from your description, like if any of the other hosts besides Mark Cuban are, maybe coming off with a negative tone or, not interested tone or whatever, like he's the guy who's going to make it or break it.
Yeah. Well,
Like
he is
he's
so
like the anchor of the show to me.
I agree. No, I completely agree. And to your point, like I knew there was no way he was ever going to invest in my business. I was like, there's no way. But like having binged the show to prep for it, I knew that he is, if you can show where you've cut cost in any sense,
Yeah.
like he praises that. And so, when they asked what my landed cost is, and I told them right away, I followed up with, and that's dropped by 20 cents. Used to be
Mm-hmm.
20 cents more per unit. And he was like, oh, great job, great job. So I was like, okay, slid that in there, So you kind of have to like know like little things to weave in there. But again, that was all from like my prep, binging the show, taking my
Yeah.
notes. What do they look for? So yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations. That's an excellent accomplishment, of course.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So looking forward at within your industry, what you're serving, do you see any trends that are going to be shaping your near future?
That is a great question. I get asked a lot, what is your next product idea? In terms of trends, silicone isn't going away. I mean, it's definitely like big in the children's space. So I think that sort of that material
Mm-hmm.
is great. I think, trends maybe for me is like, do we change color waves? Do we add, additional products to the line? I just don't, I truly don't know, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I get asked about, are you going to expand the product line? In my opinion, I'm still learning so much about the space, and we've really only scratched the surface when it comes to our US consumers and like brand awareness. I just started working with a couple international distributors. There's still so much more opportunity there, that I'm worried if I expand or change or start getting involved in the trends, I lose the focus of the hero product. So that's still my focus. Is I have some ideas for like quick adds to the product line, but in general, I really want to stay away from diversifying and following trends because the product has done so well and is just doing better as people hear about it. They're like, oh, that is a great product. I want to try that. So there's a lot more for me to do with what I already have. So I'm
Yeah,
just really focusing on brand awareness.
that's great. It is easy to get distracted when you have an army of consultants as
It is.
well, right?
Well,
That can
yes,
help you or hurt you depending on where those conversations are
it
leading
is.
you.
And yes, I mean, I go back and forth. And I also don't want to just add something to the product line to add something. I want to be really thoughtful
Yeah.
about it. We've got, the product is very high quality. It's very well made. I had a woman who owned a really successful company in the children's space. And I met her a few years ago at the ABC Kids show in Las Vegas. And she walked over to my booth, and it was like my first time there. And I had like the little, like, it's like a little high top table for like brand new brands.
Yeah.
She walks over and she was like, is this your product? Did you invent this? And I said, yeah, this is my product. And I have no idea what I'm doing, right? I'm brand new. She's
Yeah.
like, this is incredibly well made. This is very durable, very well made. She goes, would you be interested in selling? And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, what? So I knew I was onto something when she came over and was touching it and feeling it and whatever. In the back of my mind, I'm like, you better not copy me, but she didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So, thinking about other entrepreneurs listening to this
Yes.
program, can you give out any entrepreneurial advice for business owners looking to stay ahead of the curve in today's market?
Um, yes. My advice would be to flush out the noise. So I get inundated by influencers wanting to collab, and by the way, I don't recommend paying for that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't recommend paying for that. Influencers that want to collab, Amazon consult. I mean, there's so much noise, and you really have to vet these people. I would say try little things here and there. We've tried a couple little influencer posts that were very small on the in terms of how much it cost.
Yeah.
But with all these vendors and marketing companies and PR, it's really easy to just like grab, right? Because you want to get out there. You want people to hear about you. So my recommendation would be find a way to partner with people that will work off a percentage of your sales, because then they're invested. If you're, now sometimes you might have to start at a flat rate if you don't really have a lot of sales, which I did.
Yeah.
But negotiate that flat rate. If you're brand new, shouldn't be $3,000 a month or $5,000 a month. I mean, it should be much lower than that as they build the brand. Pick a number. Okay, maybe if I'm making $10,000 a month, now I give them a percentage of that. We flip from flat rate to percentage, and then they're incentivized to keep going. When you start hitting high numbers, 10% or 5%, whatever it is, what used to be $2,000 a month to pay them is now going to be $10,000. Renegotiate, right? You can renegotiate at any time. People are so scared to do that. And if you come from a place of like, I love working with you, you are great, but I can't, like, based on my business needs, like, I can't spend that much money on that, whatever it might be, right? You have to have those honest conversations with people. And more often than not, if they're a good partner and you've been a good partner to work with, there's room for negotiation and everything. People are so scared to do that. But I mean, I literally negotiate everything. And I think that's been helpful. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's great advice, because you're right. I think as Americans, we shy away from those conversations.
Yeah.
Because it's not part of our culture.
Right.
Like we get presented with, options or whatever. And then it's just like, it usually comes down to price first, right? It's like, yes, no.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. No, I mean, I negotiate everything. Even, I have a manufacturer that I love. I adore. He's been like the most fantastic partner, but my volume is way higher than it was when we first started. And, I will get manufacturing quotes a couple times a year to see what my product would cost with someone else. A lot of times they're a little bit lower than my manufacturer. So I'll go to my manufacturer and say, hey, we've been together for a long time. He does a lot more than just manufacture my product. I mean, he really is a partner. So I'm like, I don't expect this same rate, but what can we do to get closer to it? And there, throughout the years, we have dropped the price a little bit. So, you got to like also stay on top of what are the trends for pricing in the market.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important too.
Smart. Great advice. So what's next for your company? Like, what are you working on today?
I am really focused on, so I have an international trade show coming up in September. I think it's the world's largest. I don't know, maybe I just made that up, but I feel like it's big.
It's big for you.
It's big for me. Last year I shared a booth with two other great entrepreneurs, but this year I have my own booth, which to me was like a big deal that I could afford that.
Yep.
And I would like to get 2 new distributors coming out of that. So that is my focus. So I need like a really fantastic booth. I need to find a great graphic designer. If you know anybody, let me know for my trade show booth. So that's what I'm working on is that. And then also, we're kicking butt in the Amazon space, but driving people to website traffic, it's better, but it's just a challenge because everybody shops on Amazon.
Yeah.
I still would like to learn how to get more people to my website because the margins are so much better. So website traffic and a fantastic booth where I can get 2 international distributors. Those are my goals. So.
Nice goals. Yeah. Very well described and premeditated. Love it.
Manifesting it. So.
I wish you the best.
Thank you so much
in reaching your goals. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So how can listeners get in touch with the Table Tyke, Berlyn?
Yes. If you email us through our website, info@tabletyke.com, I respond to those. It is this lady running that show. Also social media, even if you don't purchase a product, any type of engagement with us, a follow, a comment, whatever, really does help a small business out. So we're the Table Tyke on every social media platform you can think of, just the Table Tyke. And that's how you can find us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for joining today. It's been a very good conversation. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So this is a wrap on Founder Freedom, folks. A big thanks to Berlyn Haughton for showing us how one overlooked parenting pain point can become a breakout brand. From mom life to marketplace momentum, Berlyn's journey proves that real innovation starts with listening and acting. Acting, folks. That's kind of the most important takeaway here, I think, from this show. You can check out thettabletyke.com and bring some calm to your chaos at mealtime. If you like what you heard here, subscribe and share this episode, and leave us a review to help other founders find their path to freedom. Until next time, keep creating, keep scaling, and never lose your style.